Hello there, lovers. I'm Jody with Enlighten Ya. In today's video, we are discussing why we look back at old relationships with nostalgia and the trauma bond. One of the things that I really love about being a life coach is being able to witness the synchronicities between clients in completely different kinds of relationships in different parts of the world even, and how there are synchronicities that we all tend to share in relationships, whether you're male or female, it does not matter. And one of those came to me this week. Actually, over the last 2 weeks, I had 4 clients, actually 2 clients and 2 friends, that asked me the same question, and they even worded it almost identically the same. And it says, why, in reference to a past relationship that was no good for them, why do I want to look back? Why do I want to miss them? Why do I look at them with nostalgia when I know that it's not right for me? And the reason is twofold. There are 2 reasons that this happens. One is that change is hard. We always want to go back into a comfortable pattern. That's the way our energy works. It's where something was flowing at one time. The flow wants to continue to flow. The ego doesn't want you to change. The ego loves for you to stay consistent because it keeps you safe and secure. And in a situation that we once were able to survive in, we know that there were times of happiness and that there were contentment and that things could be good and maybe there was chemistry even. And so we seek that, why am I forging forward into something new in the scariness of the newness when I know that this worked at some point, and if I just had tried a little harder, maybe it would work. But really what's happening is, if you stay in a place where you stay comfortable and safe, then are you really benefiting and living the fullest life that you can live? So you have to ask yourself these questions. Are you just looking back because it was secure? And sometimes it wasn't secure at all. Sometimes it was very, very toxic. And that brings us to the reason number 2 why this happens. There is something that psychologists call the trauma bond. And the trauma bond happens very often in relationships with people that have personality disorders, like borderline personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder. But it's not always the case that the people that are in these kinds of relationships or that are instigating these relationships are of those 2 personality types. Sometimes it's just a very, very insecure person that is creating this, or it's a learned trait. Okay, so I'm not saying that if you are in a trauma bond relationship with another person and it's making you very unhappy, that the person that you're in a relationship is a narcissist or does have borderline personality disorder. But you may want to look into that. So what is the trauma bond? Well, the trauma bond is an addiction to dense energies. And what are our dense energies? Our dense energies are guilt, shame, despair, grief, and sadness. And what that means is that those are the extremely dense energies and low on the vibration scale. Okay, so they feel very, very intense. Just like when you're feeling extremely nostalgic and you go back and you start listening to sad songs and you start reading old emails and all that, and it brings back that sad energy. Well, what actually is happening is that that sad energy is calling you back into that place of not changing. But being in a trauma bond situation, it is actually quite different. A trauma bond is a cycle. It is a cycle that you develop with someone who is very insecure in themselves. And you can come into a relationship very secure, and you enter into a relationship with a very insecure person, and they can create this trauma bond in you that becomes an addiction. The trauma bond is this. It is when someone that you enter into a relationship and the energy is extremely high and it's beautiful, and they're love bombing you. They're making you feel great. You feel like you have this great connection, this really strong bond. And they're making you feel good about yourself. They're saying all these really nice things. They're very empowering. They're this, they're that. And you're just like, this is what I want. This feels so right. There's so much chemistry on so many levels, and they are really throwing all that on you. And then slowly, when they get you hooked, and this is subconscious, okay? It's not like they're planning on doing this. It is just something of how the other person is made. But when you're hooked, then they start pulling back the energy into a very, very dense place. And they create guilt, shame, despair, grief in some way. So they create a trauma or a drama. And that is why it's called the trauma bond. So this can be in the form of, let's say you're in a really great relationship with someone, it's going wonderfully, and they decide all of the sudden that something's wrong and they're not talking to you, and you have no idea what's going on, and you're sending them messages and you're calling them and you're with them in person. You're saying, what did I do? Tell me what I did. What exactly happened? But they're stonewalling you. They're not talking to you. They're giving you the silent treatment, and you just don't know. And it makes you so upset and so sad, and you don't know, you don't understand, and you're striving for their information. You're pulling out, trying to pull out of them what it is. And it makes you feel like you're in kind of a trauma. And you're in the drama cycle with them. And so what that does is it makes you pull information out of them, and they make you feel like you're not worthy of knowing because they're not talking to you. Or they'll say something like they found an email or a text message or whatever it is, and they want to know what it was about, and you've been lying to them. How dare you be lying to them? And you didn't intend to do that. That wasn't actually what happened. And then when you get over it and they start realizing that, okay, and the two of you make up, then you have this amazing make-up sex. And that feels like so much power, like you got over this really horrible thing, and the two of you are so bonded now. You are so very bonded. And the cycle starts all over again. This is a repetitive pattern that happens over and over again. And the reason that you stay in it is because you get addicted to all of the energy of the push and the pull. Because see, they're pushing their energy of love onto you, and then they're pulling it back out of you and taking it away. And so you're striving for it from them again. And then they push it back. And then they create drama, and they pull it back, and they pull it away from you. And they make you fight for your worthiness and to prove their worth in your life. That is what the trauma bond truly is. And it can come in so many different scenarios. And if you want to know if you're in a trauma bond cycle, it's cyclic. It happens over and over and over again. The sad thing about a trauma bond is that if you're the one that's suffering inside of this trauma bond, see, there's one person that's suffering in it, and there's one person that's thriving in it. The one that's instigating the drama is the one that's the victim in the drama all the time. And that is how you know. That's the instigator, and the other person is the one that's receiving it. You can track this. Start journaling, start looking about where the love bombing is happening and everything's going smooth and great. And then when the energy is being pulled away from you into that deep trauma thing again where you have some big emergency that you have to take care of, and oh my gosh, scrambling, and I don't know what to do, and stop doing this to me. Can you please stop treating me this way? I don't know what's going on. You're not talking to me. You're not communicating. I don't know how to fix this. Tell me how to fix this. You're an addictive pattern. This is a love addiction pattern that is, they say, psychologists say that the brain is so addicted to this pattern that you literally feel like you cannot live without it. It is worse than heroin, cigarettes, or alcohol. That is literally how bad it is. It is worse than anything else that you know that's addictive. You are an addict. You've become codependent on a relationship, in this relationship, or one just like it. And if you don't break free of it, you will probably get very sick and have a lot of stress issues. You may end up shutting down eventually if you're in this relationship for a very, very long time. I mean, 20, 30 years. Eventually, you'll just shut down. And we see this happen, right? We see this happen. Think about it in your life. Who do you know where one person in a relationship is just shut down and kind of shut off, and they just kind of show up every day because they've gotten so tired of the pattern, but they can't leave it. So how do you get out of a trauma bond? The only way out of a trauma bond is to make the choice to get out of it. Recognize that you're in it. Recognize your worth. And you must make a choice to get out of it. And you must make a choice to end all contact. End all contact with the instigator of the trauma bond. That means that you can't have partial contact. It means you must end the contact. Now, if you have children with this person, and let's say you need to get divorced in order for this to happen. Oh, I know, it's hard. I know how hard that is. Well, I've never done it, but I can imagine how hard that must have to be for you. But you and your children are worth it. Because if you're in a toxic relationship like this, a trauma bond relationship, and you have children, what you're teaching your children is that it's okay to live this way. And staying in the marriage doesn't do anything for your children. Staying in the relationship, if you enter into a relationship, let's say after a divorce, and you enter into a relationship that's like this, you're hurting your little children. You are. So you don't want to do that. You want to try and get out of it. End all contact. If you're in a divorce situation and you have children, then what you want to do is look at that relationship as a professional relationship. It's just business, okay? Your personal stuff is with the children, but the facts are what you talk about. And the personal life and all of their traumas and all the ways that you would normally have to support them, they're going to have to find support through somebody else. And it's okay for you to be selfish in this way. You must be selfish about your own self-care and getting out of this situation. And you must know that this may be the hardest thing you have ever in your life done. If you do not heal from this relationship and the relationship ends, if you do not heal and understand that you've been in a trauma bond and you don't heal it and you simply move on into another relationship, you will end up in another relationship exactly like it. And the toxicity in you will continue. And the toxicity of the relationship will continue. And you will never experience the true quality and depth of what a real, whole, and positive, and loving, and light relationship is. You never can experience that if you are in a trauma bond. You are lying to yourself if you think that this relationship is better than anything you'll ever have again. That is a lie. That is a lie that you're telling yourself, that you're allowing yourself to believe in. There is something much, much greater for you if you choose it. But like any addiction, you must choose and come to the realization that it's worth trying to fight for. You are worth trying to fight for. You're going to need support, a lot of support. You're going to need the support of accountability partners. It's really just like going to Alcoholics Anonymous almost. You're going to need accountability to stay away from that person because it's that difficult to do. And they will do whatever they can to bring you back into their cycle because it's what feeds them. It is what they need. They need to be fed by this energy. It drives them. And so you're going to need a lot of support. And so these are the reasons that we look back on these relationships and we say, why do I keep looking back at this? The first one is much more innocent and more common, okay? We tend to go to the sad songs, the sad letters, all that. Stop doing that. Just stop. One way for both of these situations to go beyond it is to focus wholeheartedly on your future. That is masculine energy. Masculine energy is all about moving forward, forward focused, do, action focused. If you really, really want to be able to do that, then you ask for more masculine energy and say, I am not going to look backwards. I'm only looking forwards. Look forwards. Get into that masculine energy. Just go. Dream about your future. Know, feel in your heart that you are worth more. I am worth more and I will move forward. I'm moving forward. I'm not moving backs. You cannot go forward while you're looking behind. Okay? You cannot drive a car if you're looking in the rearview mirror the entire time. You just can't do it. So it's time to move forward and it's time to move on and it's time to heal. You got to heal from those relationships and just move on. Stop reading those journals. Actually, you know what? When you have a journal and you're in either one of these situations, I always suggest that you write down all of the ways that the person is not right for you and flag in some of your journals, if you're a person that writes journals, the areas where you were in the most despair and the most discomfort and the most horriblest time of it. And read those times. How did it make you feel? All of that negative, like really, really, you don't want to go back there. Maybe the abuse or being stonewalled, how that felt to you. Read just those. Don't stay in that energy. Do not stay in that energy. That energy has no place in your future. But if you need it to move forward and to throw that journal onto the ground and say, I'm not doing that anymore, do that. Because that is what's best for you. That is a positive, selfish move. That is self-care. I'm Jody with Enlighten Ya, a transformational life coach, and I'm here to help you create the greatest love of your life. And that often means healing from those relationships in the past. You are so worthy. You're so worthy of so much more in your life. And I would love to show you that worth. So if you need some support, give me a call. Contact me at enlightenya.com and you and I can set up a meeting. Thanks. Have a great day. Please hit like and subscribe. Share this if you know someone that needs this information. Love you guys. Have a great week.